Okay, just after noon, so why don't we go ahead and get started? Um, well, welcome to today's SCORE workshop. This one is called Win Customers with Your Website, and it's sponsored by Cardsetter. My name is Jerry Smith. I'm a SCORE mentor for the local Piedmont chapter. For those that are not familiar with SCORE, basically we're a nonprofit organization, resource partner for the SBA. We're actually 100% volunteer based. And SCORE basically has two main areas of focus. The one and that we're really mostly known for is one-on-one mentoring. And that's done and provided by experienced business owners and executives. And the other is sort of what we're seeing today, which is our educational workshops. The bottom line message is SCORE is here to help local small business any way that we can. And the best place to go if you'd like to find more information is head out to our website at piedmont.score.org. From there, you'll see a bunch of things. See educational resources, lots of stuff out there. But two main links that you'll see out there is one is the request a mentor or something to that effect. Find a mentor, request a mentor, and then the other link is the link that'll show you the current workshops that are coming up. Not only from our chapter, but webinars that are being produced through our national SCORE organization. So I'd like to introduce our presenter, Jessica Baldwin. Jessica is the co-founder of Cardsetter, and it's a new and easy to use website platform. She's been helping small businesses launch successful websites for over 8 years. And she's also spent more than 10 years growing her own successful blog and entertainment website. So yeah, really excited to, looking forward to hearing what Jessica has to say today. Yeah, she did a workshop for us last year that went over really well. So at this time, I'll turn it over to Jessica.
Thanks. Hi, everybody. I'm Jessica, and I want to welcome you to today's webinar. We're going to talk about how to win customers with your website. So here's what we'll be covering today. We're going to go through some common website misconceptions. Working through these is going to help you have a better mindset when it comes to your website and its performance. We'll discuss the important role that your website plays in your online marketing strategy. We're going to provide a framework to help you develop your own winning strategy, and we'll walk through a few relevant examples, and then we'll discuss how to set your website up to help execute your strategy. I'm your host today, and I have a lot of experience in the website space. In 2009, I launched a small online business called Billings365.com. It was a website and blog for things to do in Billings, Montana. And later I spent time as partner in a website design agency where we did custom WordPress websites for small businesses. And I learned a lot about the needs of website owners, both from the perspective of being one and in serving others in the development agency. So in 2016, my co-founder Josh and I decided to build our own website platform, and that is Cardsetter. So we've helped hundreds of website owners take their visions online with our easy to use website platform and service. So my whole world has been websites and online marketing for at least the past 12 years or more at this point. We have a workbook that goes along with this webinar. If you guys want to download it, let me grab the link and drop it in the chat so it's easier. And just full disclosure, you do get a series of emails that go with the workbook. So you can, of course, unsubscribe from them at any point if you don't like the emails, but the workbook will help you outline your strategy. And you don't need to fill it out as we're going through the webinar, but I want to make sure you have that link. Okay, so let's get into some common website misconceptions. My website doesn't bring me any customers. Word of mouth drives all of my business. So many business owners will hail the ever elusive word of mouth as the sole source of bringing in customers. But this particular misconception underestimates the actions that people will take prior to becoming your customer. So even if people hear about your business from a friend or an acquaintance, they're likely to visit your website to get more information before contacting you or coming into your business. So it's still important to make a good impression with a professional website. My website isn't at the top of Google search results, and that's why I don't have more sales. So ranking at the top of a Google search is great. It's definitely a goal worth striving for, but it's not the answer to all your website problems. So search engine optimization, or the practice of, trying to rank well on search, is one channel out of many options to generate traffic to your website, but it can't be responsible for what happens after that, once people get there. Once people get to your website through SEO or other marketing channels, your website has to engage them to stick around, educate them about what you do, and convert them into leads and sales. Now, even if you start ranking at the top of relevant search results, your website is unlikely to convert someone in one single visit. At that point, on their first visit to your website, they're really just becoming aware of your business. So you'll need to get your brand and your website in front of people again and again, which is why you can't rely on one marketing channel like SEO. I have a Facebook page, an Instagram account, TikTok. I don't really need a website. So it's true that growing a following on social media can be a great way to get in front of your audience on a regular basis, but you still need a website. A website is where you control how your brand is presented. You need it for any online advertising that you want to do. It helps you facilitate online sales and lead generation, and it makes sure that you look professional. It's a place on the internet that you control rather than the social media algorithms. On social, you're at the mercy of Facebook or Instagram or TikTok or Twitter or Pinterest or LinkedIn's priorities. So they can change their algorithm in a second, and all of a sudden you're no longer reaching your audience. So it's really important to build traffic to your website and get email addresses in your database, so you have that protection, so you can always reach your audience. And then lastly, my website is simply ineffective. It doesn't bring me any customers. So this may or may not be true. Your website design, layout, or copy might be ineffective for a variety of reasons, but the problem could instead be that you're not getting enough traffic to your website, or the marketing that you're doing isn't producing enough frequency and repetition with your audience to get them to act. So if you think about your own behavior, like how often do you see a single ad or make one visit to a website and decide to buy right then and there? That doesn't happen very often, I would imagine. And your website visitors are the same way. They're unlikely to visit your website one time and act immediately. So you have to find a way to bring the right people into your world, aware of your brand, and then be in front of them when they are ready to act. So we need to stop thinking of our website on its own as this single thing that does or doesn't work. Your website plays an integral role in your overall marketing mix. It's not going to be effective all on its own. It really needs to be considered part of your entire online marketing strategy. So when you're looking for, problems, issues, things that might not be working, you shouldn't single out your website and say like, oh, I bet if I had a different image or button was in a different place or whatever, my website would perform better. Those little adjustments can help, but most of the time, the actual issue is the marketing that goes with the website. Okay, so now that we've gone through the common misconceptions, let's talk about your website's role in marketing your business online. So your website plays an important role in the marketing mix for the following reasons. Establishing your brand. Your website is your home on the internet where you can express your brand voice and control the experience for your website visitors and customers. It's really where you get to set the tone and say, this is who we are and how we can uniquely help you. Professionalism, your business looks more legitimate when you have a professional website, and professionalism goes a long way in building trust with your audience, so they're more likely to work with you. Compounding results, investing in the success of your website through ongoing improvements and by adding new content has compounding lasting effects. Over time, you'll start to see more traffic build and grow to your site. Adding value, your website is a place where you can add value for your target audience. So it's a place where you can provide useful information and resources for them. It's an essential marketing tool. So whether you're offering a product, a service, or information, you need a place for people to land, gather more information, and convert. If you do any type of online advertising, you need a landing page for your ad, and you need a place to install your advertising pixels so you can do retargeting campaigns and things like that. Your website is the place to do this. Getting found. Websites still rank better than a Facebook page or other social media pages for your keywords. So search is going to help you reach people who are actively searching for your product or service. Whereas, on social, your exposure with them is a lot more passive. Engagement. So your website is where people can actually spend time with your brand and your content. It's where they can dig in and discover more and deepen their engagement with your brand. Measurement. So you can evaluate how your marketing is performing by reviewing your website analytics. And then generating leads. As you continue marketing your business, you will want to grow a database of potential customers. You can do that on your website by creating content that people can enter their email address to get, or even by collecting your email addresses from your inquiry form from your website. These types of things are easier to do when you have a website. And then transactions, facilitating sales and actually making the sale. So we want to convert visitors and followers into customers. If you want someone to buy a product or sign up for a service, you need a way to facilitate that transaction, and your website is the place to do this. But how do you set your website up to help you succeed? So there's a lot of advice out there on website design and layout. So you might get tips on, how to lay out the page, make sure everything's in a left to right reading pattern of importance. You might hear about button placement, choosing the right colors. So again, this type of information is helpful for designing a professional website. And some of these little adjustments can improve the performance of your website, but these tips are not a magical solution to winning customers with your website if you don't have some other important marketing pieces in place. Winning customers with your website is not magic. And again, it's not all up to the website on its own. I wish it were that simple. It really takes a lot of trial and error to figure out what works. But once you come up with a strategy that shows some promise, it can have amazing results. Okay, so you have to come up with a winning strategy for your business. There's no one-size-fits-all template for this. So we're going to provide a framework that will help you with your strategy. And we have two important steps to take before getting to work on your website. We're going to define our ideal customer and then map out the customer journey. Before I move on to those steps, Jerry, did we have a question in the chat?
So nope, all we have is just a comment, just thanking you for the workbook information. So no questions quite yet.
Okay. Feel free to drop questions in the chat. We will answer a few of them as we go along. Okay, so the first two steps, ideal customer, customer journey. So in nearly every webinar that I present, I talk about defining your ideal customer because I believe it is the most critical step to getting your website and your overall marketing right. Okay, so let's describe our ideal customer. Here we're thinking about who our website is for and what their needs are. So I like to use a simple fill in the blank statement to get started with this exercise. It says, as a type of person, I want some goal so that some reason. So if we think of an example for this, here's how one health coach might fill this out. As a busy working parent, I find it challenging to find time for fitness, but I want to feel fit and healthy so that I have more energy to play with my kids after work. So you're going to fill out that statement from the perspective of your ideal customer. And as you can imagine, not every health coach would fill out that statement the same way. They're going to fill it out from the perspective of their ideal customer, the kind of person they want to attract to their business. From there, you can layer on additional information. So how old is this person? What is their career or educational background? What are their interests? What kind of media do they consume? And more. So this is going to help you create your strategy in a way that will resonate with your potential customers. From there, we want to plan that customer's journey. So your customer is going to go through different phases in their experience with your brand. And this is something that's often overlooked by a lot of business owners. We tend to kind of jump forward like, oh, I got a website up. I'm going to start running ads on Facebook. I ran ads on Facebook. They came to my website, but nobody signed up. Well, again, it's going to be really rare for someone to see one ad, hit your website, and buy something instantly. That's not to say that that never ever happens, but it really should not be your expectation in your business. We have to nurture our audience along and provide information and messaging that meets them at the stage that they are at and in a medium that makes sense for the audience. So these are the typical stages of a marketing funnel. At the awareness stage, we want to get our brand in front of our audience. We want them to know that we exist and that we can fulfill a need or solve a problem for them. At this stage, we're just bringing prospects, hopefully people who kind of fit our ideal customer persona into our audience. We're making them aware that we exist. In the consideration stage, the prospect knows that they have the need or problem. They're now aware of your brand, and they're probably doing more research or trying to decide what's right for them. They might even be, internally trying to justify spending the money on the product or service. So they're, deciding how or if they're going to move forward. And then in the conversion stage, they are ready to act, and you want them to move forward with your brand. So this is where they're going to take action to solve their problem or fulfill a need. And then I have a little note here for retention. So once they've become a customer, how can you continue to meet their needs? Might they be a source of referrals, reviews, etc.? So we're not going to spend too much time on retention because we are talking about winning customers with your website. So we're really focused on the stages to conversion. But it is something you should think about in your customer journey. It shouldn't stop at once they become a customer, how can you keep them as a customer? So your outreach, the messaging that you use, and how you deliver that message should be crafted to each stage. So at each of those stages, what is the message that needs to be communicated to your prospect, and how are you going to deliver that message? So, what type of content makes sense at the awareness stage? What information do they need in the consideration stage to help them understand your product or service? What will motivate them to take action and convert? At the awareness stage, you might create relevant content to get their attention. Maybe that content lives on your website, and maybe you're going to have a newsletter or a free resource they can sign up for so you can stay engaged with them during the consideration stage. So they go into an email sequence where you can get your brand in front of them on a regular basis, and maybe you even run some retargeting ads to bring them back to your website. So you're going to nurture them along throughout that consideration stage. And then after some time, hopefully you have a large group of people who've been in the consideration stage for some time and they're ready to convert. So it's time to send them an email with a special offer, or run an ad for a sale or something like that, with the intent of getting them to sign up or purchase today. So you want to stay engaged with your prospect through all these stages, and you should expect people to spend some time within each stage before they'll move on to the next. And different people will move along at different stages. So it's important to have a marketing strategy that's constantly speaking to these buckets of people who are in these different stages of experience with your brand. And this will make more sense as we walk through an example of this.
Hey, Jessica, can I ask a question?
Yeah.
As you're going through this, it reminds me a lot of sort of like a sales pipeline as customers or prospects are moving through various stages so like that. Do you have tools, or do you recommend tools to help manage this process that you've outlined here?
Yeah, we'll get into that a bit more in the next steps.
Okay.
It's really going to be custom to your business. I think, and that's what the workbook kind of helps you just determine, what is the message, for the awareness stage, for example, how am I going to attract my target market to my website in the first place? And then what are the mechanisms that I need to deliver that message and get them to my website? What strategy am I going to use, and what tools do I need to implement that strategy? So it's really hard to generalize that when it's going to be so different for every business and every target audience. But I think the framework we'll walk through and the workbook will help people figure that out for themselves. Okay, so looking at an example for this, Penelope's Plant Place is our make-believe business. It's a small nursery located in Colorado Springs, Colorado. So Penelope doesn't have a landscaping crew. She really caters to the do-it-yourselfer. So she sells plants and accessories from her physical location. And then on top of that, she offers professional design services so that customers who want help making a landscaping plan can get it. So she knows that these consulting services help her increase her plant sales. So Penelope's ideal customer is the avid do-it-yourselfer, and she knows that new homeowners often fall into this category. So she might fill out her ideal customer statement like this. As a new homeowner on a budget, I want to add plants to my home so that it reflects my personal style and is a warm and inviting place to be. But I don't know much about plants or landscape design. So then on her website, she's going to try to, communicate with that person. So she's going to have a headline that kind of expresses a key benefit. Personalize your space. Visit Penelope's Plant Place. And then she would have some support copy here. We're here to help you DIY your dream space. Personalize the interior and exterior of your home with plants that will survive, thrive, and look great too. So, she's trying to set her website up to really speak back to that ideal customer that she's identified. So now, what are some ways that Penelope can use her website to attract and nurture this ideal customer along? So if we first think about the awareness stage, Penelope wants to make her ideal customer aware of her business. So she thinks about what this person might be doing before they take action to spruce up their home. They're probably going to do some research, right? So maybe they're looking for plants that will even, thrive or survive in their area's climate. So Penelope is going to create a comprehensive guide on her website featuring articles about plants that thrive in Colorado Springs. And she's going to focus this guide, of course, on plants that she carries in her store. Now, excuse me. If someone is reading this type of information on her website, then they're probably a good prospect to be in the market to buy some plants. But maybe they're not, ready to buy right now. So Penelope wants to try to keep them in her audience in the meantime. So she's going to add a lead capture to her articles. So she's created a do-it-yourself landscaping guide, just a PDF guide that includes different layouts and plant recommendations. So she's going to add a sign-up form for the guide on all of those articles. So they'd finish reading the article and then they'd see this additional free resource that they can enter their email to get. So then once she has email addresses in her database, she can send periodic newsletters to her prospects to stay top of mind. She could also, once she's gotten people to her website, she can run retargeting ads on Facebook or Instagram or Pinterest to keep her audience engaged. So then those newsletters and the ads that she's running would link back to her website so people can gather more content, and she's fostering this connection with her audience throughout the consideration stage. So she might start incorporating more sales-driven content. So she could highlight, before and after customer stories with photos that showcase her work, or, the design service that she provided with the plants that they purchased from her nursery. She could highlight the benefits of getting design help to ensure a smoother do-it-yourself project. So now Penelope is attracting the right audience to her website with good quality content. She's keeping them engaged by continuing to offer quality information about plants. And now, how does she get these people to convert to customers? Well, because she is top of mind now with a bunch of these people, she might get some natural conversions. People might, be interested enough at this point to just come into her store or sign up for her design services naturally. And for some, she's going to need to incentivize them to act. So Penelope comes up with an offer that she's going to present to her warmest audience members, or those who've maybe opened and clicked on the most emails from her email list. So Penelope decides to offer free 30-minute design consultations, plus a 20% off coupon for those who do book one of those consultations. So she knows that when her customers get a little design help, they're happier with the end result and they're better prepared to care for their plants. And she knows that they're going to buy more plants when they have the confidence they need to succeed. So customers can go back to her website and book their free consultation there. So now you can see how Penelope is actively utilizing her website to nurture her audience through all those stages of the customer journey. So she's attracting them with quality content. She's keeping them engaged by retargeting them through email and online ads to bring them back to her website as she nurtures them along. And then she provides them with an incentive to act, and they actually convert on her website when they book the design service. Now, of course, Penelope's specific tactics aren't going to work for every business because your ideal customer and your audience are going to be different than hers. So let's look at a little bit different type of business. Let's look at one that's a little bit more direct sales driven. So Tim offers consulting services to universities and large organizations to make their campuses more energy efficient. So he saves them money while also reducing their climate impact. So he has a very specific decision maker that he needs to reach, and it's more efficient for him to find out who the decision maker is and reach out to them directly, either through email or phone, to make them aware of his business. So Tim should still have quality content on his website, But in this example, it's less likely that his prospects are finding him through an online search or social media, and more likely that they're visiting his website after he's reached out. So he'd want to focus on, still having a professional website, making a good impression. And then maybe he's going to have something like a calculator or white paper explaining how much universities could save with his help, or how much of an impact they could have on their carbon footprint or whatever. So his strategy is going to look more like reaching out by email at the awareness stage. And so maybe he's trying to get those prospects to take a first look at his website for more information. Then at the consideration stage, he's providing a link. He's following back up with them, probably through email, providing a link to that white paper or the calculator to bring them back to his website to get those tools. He's continuing to engage with them through email, but he's still using his website to support that sales strategy. And then to get people to convert, he probably wants, to book a phone call or an online meeting. So he's going to have a book a consultation option on his website. So, the mechanism for which someone says like, hey, I'm interested, how do I get started? Then he's probably going to respond via email, like, pick a time that works for you. Here's a calendar to do so. So his strategy is very email focused, but his website is helping support that strategy, giving him a professional appearance, housing important content that he's sending his prospects to, and then enabling the conversion event of a booked meeting. Okay, so to develop your own strategy, you need to go back to thinking about your ideal customer and what are their needs. And then consider how can you attract them to your business at the beginning of their journey, at that awareness stage. Then how can you engage with them while they're in the consideration stage? And then how can you motivate them to act at the conversion stage? And then again, once they are customers, how can you retain them or keep them coming back? So you want to ask yourself these questions and then decide what message you're going to deliver at each stage and how you will deliver it to your audience. And again, there's no one size fits all strategy here. So I can't tell you all exactly what to do at each stage because all of you have very different businesses and very different target audiences in mind. So you'll have to think about what makes sense for you, but hopefully this framework kind of helps you get thinking about that. Okay, so did we have any questions, Jerry?
No, we just got a comment from Angela. She just really loved the idea customer statement. She thought that was easy to understand. Yeah, I'll just continue with that. Yeah, this is really an amazing outline that you're describing here, and this goes back to the title of the webinar itself. You're attracting your customers, and you're going through a lot of the marketing and sales component of how we would go about actually achieving this. So this is really, really excellent material, everybody. So I hope you're absorbing everything as Jessica goes through this, and the video of this webinar will become available probably next week. So if you need to go back and check out those details, I'd recommend it. Thanks, Jess.
Yep. Okay. So once you've answered those questions for your business, you need to configure your website to do its part, right? So you're going to need some essential tools to help you carry out your strategy. So first things first, your website, whoops, getting ahead of myself here. Your website has to be set up to meet the needs of your ideal customer at every stage. So we're going to get into some tools that you'll need to carry out your strategy, but first we need just a good base, right? So your website has to adequately communicate what your business offers and why it matters to your ideal customer. So again, if you think about your ideal customer and the journey that they're going to take to becoming your customer, then how can your website meet their needs? So you'll need a quality homepage that is compelling to your ideal customer. So you want to focus on capturing their attention when they hit your homepage. So in the top section of the homepage, where we're really trying to capture their attention when they land there, I like to use a headline that kind of ties back to your key benefit statement or why your business is the best choice for your ideal customer. Make sure you're speaking to your customer from their perspective. What are they going to get out of it? It's not about this is what my business does. It's about this is how my business helps you. And then I add some support text that will help back up that key benefit, and then follow that up with the primary call to action. Now, again, people probably won't instantly convert at this point, but we want to get them interested enough to continue scrolling or to go a bit deeper into the website. And then having your call to action present early on is really useful for people when they do come back to your website when they have decided to take action. So although they might not convert immediately when they first hit your homepage and read this and see that call to action, it's important to tell them what to do when they've decided to take action. So beyond that, what else does your prospect need on your website to read or consume in their journey to becoming your customer? So again, this is going to be specific to every business, but they might need to see an overview of your services or programs. They might need to better understand how your service works. They might need to consume case studies on how you've helped others in their industry. They might want to see your pricing. So what pieces of information are going to be essential in the process? Make sure that your website has a good base of content for your prospect as they travel through each stage of the journey. So, as in our previous example, the articles for Penelope's Plant Place were meant for the awareness stage. They were meant to be there to bring people into her website. And then I mentioned she had like before and after customer stories. So she probably had those on her website, sent a newsletter out to provide the link to her newsletter list to get them back to her website for that. And then the conversion stage, she needed a mechanism to help them convert. So she had the book an appointment option on her website. So what are those pieces of information or features that you need to help carry out the strategy for each stage? We do have a website planner that will help you kind of outline each page or section of content for your website as well. So I can also grab the link for that and drop that if any of you are interested in that as well. If you're starting there, if you don't have a website yet, this would be helpful. Okay, so going beyond those essentials, we're going to need some other tools on our website to help it do its part within that customer journey. So just some different tools that you can use within each stage to help, carry out your strategy. So the first is content management. So there are plenty of things that you can do to raise awareness of your business. That would include, your social media posts, any advertising or sponsorships you're doing, and more. But when it comes to your website, one of the most powerful things you can do for this stage of the customer journey is have relevant content on your website. And not just sales-oriented content, but useful, helpful content that your ideal customer would be interested in. When I say content, I mean, having blog posts or articles, maybe different PDF resources, maybe you have a video library of information you can provide, just good content for your customers to consume. So this helps with your search engine optimization, or trying to rank at the top of Google search results. It gives your website visitors a reason to visit your website and then return to get more information. It provides content to post to social media and include in your e-newsletter and more. So you're going to want to come up with some content for your website that's going to appeal to your ideal audience. And you'll need to set your website up to make the best use of that content. Now, a lot of times you'll see companies plop a blog on their website, and more often than not, you visit the page and the last post was made years ago. We do not want to do that. Part of the problem with this particular approach is that it relies on a continuous flow of new content and new information, and most small businesses can't keep up with that. So I take a little bit different approach. I like to come up with what I call content collections. So think about topics that your audience is going to be interested in. Then how could you create, long-standing, long-term helpful resources around those topics? You want to make like a collection of 3 to 5 or more articles that kind of go together around a certain topic and assemble them into a guide on your website. So in our earlier example, Penelope was going to have the ultimate guide to plants that thrive in Colorado Springs. So all of those articles live on the same page on her website. So they're in a collection, which makes them a more powerful resource. So putting all of these together is more compelling for the audience. We're encouraging them to stay on the website longer because they'll see there's more than just the one article. And this content is going to be relevant to her audience for years and years to come. So rather than writing a blog post every single week, I like to chip away at these in-depth guides, get all of the pieces of content done that I need for that guide, and then start on a new one. Once I feel like I've completed this one and used it up or whatever the case may be, but I'll start. It's a little bit easier to have kind of a finite ending to a content project. And, once I have all of these articles in place, I've completed this resource. It's a lot easier than what am I going to blog about this week? And it's a lot more useful for your website visitors. Okay, so beyond content, a few other tools your website might need to help implement your strategy. So customizable forms. So whether you're offering a lead capture or registering people for a webinar, running a contest, offering a discount, you'll need a form on your website to take those submissions, and you might even need it to accept payments, right? So some website platforms do come with form builders in them, but there's a lot of third-party options that actually have more features and flexibility than some of the out-of-the-box ones. A couple that I like are Cognito Forms and JotForm. Both of them have pretty good free plans to start with, and both of them let you hook up Stripe or I think PayPal. And I'm not sure what other payment processor, but you can hook up a payment processor so you can accept credit card payments as well. E-newsletter integration. So you want to be able to follow up with people who provide their emails to you. So you'll need e-newsletter software to do this. This will be separate from your website. It's a email, newsletter software like MailChimp or ConvertKit or something like that. So the e-newsletter software is what you would use to send out your follow-up emails, your newsletters, things like that. And they'll provide an integration for your website where you can put your sign-up form for your newsletter or for a lead capture or something like that on your website. And that way, when people fill out their information, it goes into your MailChimp account, and you can set it up so that it auto responds with the free resource if you take that approach or whatever. And then they land in your list, and MailChimp manages your email list and all of that for you. And you can send out your newsletters from there. And one note I'll mention, oh, go ahead, Jerry.
I was going to say, we've got a couple of questions. I didn't want to interrupt if you're in the middle of here, but one that's relevant to this slide. Leslie was asking those customizable form tools again. Was it Cognito and Jot what was the second one?
Jot form, JOT form.
JOT form. Okay, so Leslie probably got that. And while we're on that, let me just go back a couple of questions that are more on the basically navigating the customer through the various stages through to conversion. Angela was asking, is there any set time that you'd want to keep customers in a particular stage, or are we just trying to facilitate through to get to that conversion stage as quickly as possible?
Yeah, it's really tough because again, I hate answering things with it depends. I know that's so annoying, but it really does completely depend on your business. Like if you're selling several $1,000 consulting package, for example, that might have a sales cycle of 6 months or more. You know, it might take that long to go through all the steps with your lead to get them to convert. If you're selling a $10 widget on your e-commerce store, I would expect that to be a lot shorter because it's more of an impulse purchase, right? And you don't want to spend a bunch of money staying engaged with that person for a $10 buy. So it's really going to depend on your business, but I can tell you at Cardsetter, like we have people who sign up in as little as a couple of weeks of being in our funnel to an entire year later. So I think it's important to just think about having those strategies in place for the different people in the different stages, and then giving it a good amount of time to test your strategy, probably at least 6 months, to evaluate whether people are moving along like you'd like to see it. And you can have individual metrics at each stage. So, you know, am I getting people to my website at that awareness stage? Are they downloading the resource that I have at a good rate? That kind of tells you if you're getting the right people into your funnel, right? And then, you know, once I've been engaged with them in that consideration stage for a while, am I starting to see some people sign up or take more actions or getting more inquiries and things like that?
Perfect. And then related to that question was just, again, on the stages, and you're sort of asking, I guess, in terms of content, to try to make sure you have some content for each one of these stages, because your customers may be at your website and in various stages of the process. So, is there, an ideal to basically have content related to each stage so they can, move along?
Yes, absolutely. And I was just going to mention that on the e-newsletter piece, you know, you're going to attract them to your website with some good content, or, you know, if you're doing direct sales, you're going to get in front of them through an initial email or whatever. If you get people into your email list, be careful not to make your follow-up with them a constant sale. So we want to think of it as nurturing them along. So you want to have some email content that's not all sales driven. Don't constantly be promoting your products and services. You know, think about how you can send out content that's going to be useful to them and related to your business, but not completely sales oriented. And if you think about it, like maybe you send, 3 informational for every 1 promotional that you're going to send. That way you're kind of balancing. And what we do at Cardsetter, I generally send just informational, and then my system will track like the number of opens and things like that. And I'll wait and send a promotion to people who've been more engaged, who've opened more emails, or been to our website more often. So I'm trying to hit people who are what I would consider warmer in that list, and not just make people feel sold to all the time. I know that's kind of that's a little more complex and complicated, but just the main point is to, think of it as being a helpful resource for some time before you're going to try to make the sale. The caveat there is if you're selling $10 widgets, I think it's okay to be a little bit more sales oriented earlier on. Okay, so chat. So you can communicate with customers as they have questions while they're on your website. So you can install chat. I'm sure many of you have been to websites that have the little chat bubble in the right-hand corner where you can ask a question. One free option that I actually really like for this is Facebook Messenger. And the reason I like that option is because one, lots and lots of people have a Facebook account, so it's easy for them to, open the chat and message. And even if they don't, they can still use the chat. And the other thing is that if you have Facebook Messenger on your phone, then you're able to respond anytime to inquiries that come through your website and get those notifications and reply right away. Whereas a lot of other tools, you kind of have to like have an operator to be able to message back with people, or you have to set it up as a bot, which for most businesses doesn't make sense at this point. Okay, landing pages. So a landing page is really just a single promotional page that you might want to use to, promote a lead capture resource, a sign up page for a webinar, any number of marketing things. So as you roll out different marketing programming, you might need, nice landing pages to help you with those promotions. Like in Penelope's case, when she was going to send out the free 30-minute consultation and 20% off coupon, she might want a nice landing page that describes all the details of that deal and has the option to book the consultation on that page. That way she can direct people from her newsletter directly to the page that's just about that topic, or run ads that would go just to that page. So that's the purpose of a landing page. You want to make sure that whatever platform you're using, it's easy for you to spin those up relatively quickly, so you can move your marketing strategies forward. Appointment setting. So appointment scheduling can be really useful, especially for service-based businesses or consultants and other professionals. So you can let prospects book a consultation or a demo on your website, or even book appointment for your service. One popular option for this is Calendly. That's what I use. They have a really good free plan. So that would be one place to start. There's lots of other options. You can look at calendar booking software, Google that for other options if you'd like. E-commerce and payments. So if you're selling physical or digital products on your website, then you need a way to facilitate those transactions. There's lots of different ways to accomplish this depending on your needs. You might need a shopping cart if people will be adding more than one item before they're going to check out on your website. But if you're accepting payments for something like a webinar or a course, you can probably do that with one of the customizable forms like we talked about earlier. A payment processor. If you're going to take payments of any kind, then you need a way to process those credit card payments. I generally tend to recommend Stripe for that because it's really flexible, works with lots and lots of other online tools. So that's the one I recommend most often. And then analytics. So you're going to want to be able to measure your website activity so you can see how your actions are paying off. So Google Analytics is what I would recommend to do this. It's free. This is going to help you see what pages and which content are performing best on your website. You can see how many people are visiting, your pricing page or hitting your contact page or your sign up page. You can see if they're visiting from mobile devices versus desktop. You can see how many people are coming to your website from Facebook or any ads that you're running. So you can get a lot of good information to help you understand how your efforts are going. And then pixels. So the world of online advertising is is changing with cookies and all that. But as of today, Facebook and Google and all the ad platforms that you might want to use online provide what is called a pixel that goes on your website. It's just a little snippet of code. And what that pixel does is send information back to your ad account on Facebook or Instagram or Google or wherever you might be doing some advertising. And this helps you do like retargeting campaigns. So if people hit your website and they are a Facebook user and they have all their permissions allowed and things like that, you can, run ads to people who have visited your website with an ad on Facebook. Now, the important thing is that you have to have the pixel installed for it to start acquiring that audience. So even if you don't plan on advertising right away on one of those, I would think about where you might advertise and make sure you get the pixel set up on your website sooner rather than later, and make sure you set up an audience for all website visitors in the last 180 days. And Facebook, Google, all the ad platforms have directions on how to get those installed on your website. Okay, so finally, to summarize, the way that you're going to win customers with your website is to define your ideal customer, really understand who you are trying to communicate with and what their needs are. You're going to map out the customer journey, think about how you can attract your ideal customer to your website at the awareness stage, determine how you can engage with them and educate them about your products and services throughout that consideration stage, and then think out how you can compel them to convert at the conversion stage. And then you're going to set your website up to do its part within that strategy. So you're going to have a good base of with a compelling homepage. You'll include relevant information that's going to help your prospects learn how you can help them. And you're going to create relevant content for your ideal customer. And then you're going to utilize the features and tools that are going to help you accomplish those goals. I know that's a lot to digest in an hour, but I hope that the framework we've provided here will help you think about how your website can really help you win over customers. It definitely takes some critical thought and a lot of setup to get everything working together. And be sure to think of it as a work in progress, as an iterative process. You won't get everything right away. You're going to test little things and see what's working to, help get the right people to your website, to encourage them to sign up for your newsletter, whatever the case may be that you decide to do at that consideration stage. And, what kind of offer might help them decide to convert. And with that, we have a few extra minutes for questions.
Let's see. I think we actually covered most of the questions, or all of the questions here, Jessica. So we'll leave it open for another minute, just to see if anybody else has anything else to ask. But again, yeah, the information that you covered today was really amazing. What I really like about this, and I think myself and I'm sure most people on the call today, we've seen other types of web design type webinars or content or speaking to people. And it's usually more on the technical side. It's more about the website itself, or SEO, or how do you organize that, the content of the website. And what you presented today was truly a sales and marketing integration into how do we really utilize this website in the proper way to, as you say, the customer journey, bringing them through not only to conversion, but then you mentioned also retention on the other side of that, really keeping those customers. So yeah, just amazing content that you've really condensed very nicely into 1 hour. And I can't thank you enough for the time that you spent with us.
Yeah, thanks so much. I mean, this all comes from my own learning, right? I've been there. We put a website up and we ran ads to it. And why isn't anybody signing up? And things really only started working when we thought about the entire funnel to take people from reaching our website to then staying with them for some time to get them aware of our own business. So I've been through all of the misconceptions that I listed and things like that. So it really comes from, experience and learning through this. So.
Excellent. Yeah, not too many more questions coming through. You're getting some accolades here with thank yous, and it was awesome. And yes, everybody agrees.
Great. Thanks, everyone. I appreciate it.
Okay, well, I guess we'll go ahead and I'm gonna end our recording and close out the Zoom room. Again, thank you everybody for attending today, and thanks again, Jessica, for doing the presentation for us.
Everyone, bye.
Bye, everybody.